find this funny. The misinformation that's given out about EVs, and especially from the big boys who you'd expect better from, and certain information like 9 out of 10 EV drivers never look back. Well, I'm here to tell you that is absolute rubbish. And it doesn't stand up under scrutiny. How would you scrutinise it? Well, you'd find places that sell vehicles, private people selling vehicles, wouldn't you? Not companies, because they'll probably go through auctions. Private peoples have to sell either on Auto Trader, or there's a couple of private to trade auction sites these days, one such being Motorway. There's a link in my description for Motorway. If you sell your vehicle using Motorway, using my link, I will get £50 and you will get £50. It's not knocked off anywhere and it doesn't cost you anything. And I'm here to tell you that we buy a lot of cars from Motorway, and we've seen a lot of cars that we couldn't buy because they went for too much money. So hand on heart, you know, you get what your car's worth on the day. If there's two people looking for that vehicle and they've got a customer, it can romp on. Sometimes brings retail. So all these surveys, they seem to ask sycophantic EV owners. I mean, who in the right mind would expect a true result from asking people who follow an EV site? You know, what they want to, they need to find out who used to follow them and ask them, A, why they don't follow them anymore, and what about their EV? Have they still got it, or have they sold it? Because it's like a religion. Some people who go on about electric vehicles, it is like a religion, and we all know what religion does and the trouble it causes. Well, I'm afraid it's causing massive division between these people who want to see EVs succeed at any cost, and for some reason they only want full battery electric vehicles to succeed. They don't want hybrids, they don't want hydrogens, they don't want artificial fuels. They just want electric vehicles. Ask yourself why that is. Okay, so that's just kind of the groundwork. So this business and industry, EV Revolution 2025. What do drivers think about EVs? Victoria Edmonds, CEO, EVA England. So she's going to be very unbiased, isn't she? Too expensive, not enough charge points, they won't work for longer trips. When we talk to anyone yet to switch to electric driving, those are the prevailing views. Now, the people that you want to talk to are the people that came into electric driving, then got out fast. Not the people that don't know, not the people that are happy and sycophantic, the ones that came in and decided it wasn't for them. Because according to your lot's figures, 9 out of 10 EV owners don't look back. That is not borne out on sites like CarWow and Motorway. There's a high percentage of people selling EVs within a very, very short space of time of getting them. But also the amount of money that it's costing them. So the vehicle, the experience is so bad that they're prepared to lose thousands to go back to an ICE vehicle. They're prepared to pay to get out of a vehicle when they've only just gone, in some cases, a few weeks into a 60-month agreement. One was an 80-month agreement, 49-month agreements, 37-month agreements. Honestly, that will cost a fortune to get out. So not only has the amount of the car, effectively, the amount of your car that you bought has gone up. All right, let me explain that. So the amount of your car plus the interest on the finance agreement, that's how much your car stands you at. to start off with. But what's even worse, that's what your car was, that's the interest, but now your car has depreciated massively too, down here. So that, from there to your interest, that's what owning an EV for a short amount of time costs you, a fortune. Absolute fortune. So ask an EV driver and it's a different story. Much cheaper to run? No. Than my old petrol car? No. Much easier to charge than I realised? Not really. It's just not. You know, you go to a petrol pump, you go like that, in. You need to charge your car. You need to get it up the drive. If you've got 1, 2, 3 cars or whatever, you need to get it up to the house. Depending on how many cars you might have to shift off the drive. I always remember there was a program called, was it Butterflies? And every time they wanted to move a car, all over the place, I'll try and find the beginning of that and cut it in. So you've got to get your vehicle in it if you're charging here. If you're not, you go to a charger or somewhere else, you've got to get the charging lead out, the granny lead, uncoil it. I went to Citroen last week and they put the vehicle on charge for me overnight. Mark wound it up. He's got an electric vehicle, has had an electric vehicle for years. And I watched him wind it up and it wouldn't fit in the case. So in the end, he just put it down. And I've had the same problem. My Citroen Ami, I have to push the cable back into the door. Yesterday, went to Preston to charge it. It was pissing down. Somehow, what I'd managed to do was put the cable in. It had threaded through itself and knotted. So there was a big knot which I couldn't get out. Honestly. And I'm like so. I couldn't pull the plug out. So I, like a gynecologist, I'm like trying to flipping get my fingers in a, well, God, that's a horrible thought. But anyway, trying to get my fingers into this little opening to unthread it so the knot will come out and I can pull it out, which I did eventually. But guess what? I was piss wet through. Absolutely piss wet through. So, no, charging's not easy. The cables are heavy. The cables are dirty. The cables are out in all weathers. Now, ladies, why do ladies not like EVs? Because they're heavy. You go to a petrol pump, you can get a little plastic glove and your hands aren't dirty. I don't think I've seen plastic gloves at EV chargers, but yet you've got a big rubber cable that's dragged along the floor, that's out in all sorts of weathers. Would you go and lean on your car and do that in your nice white shirt? No, but yet across you. So no, that's not true at all. That's just a lie. Fits better into our busy lives? No, it doesn't. Smoother and easier to drive? No, it's not. It's just not. Those are the views of those already driving electric. Those who know how these cars work. I know how they work. And that's rubbish. I know well how they work. An EV suits me. It's fine. But that's not the truth. That is EV misinformation. But she's supposed to be tackling it. She's not tackling it, she's creating it. About 95% of EV drivers never look back. So why aren't these views cutting through the prevailing myths? Because they're lies. Because it's not true. Because that doesn't happen. That's why. Because people aren't stupid. Tackling EV misinformation. Over 2/3 of EV drivers surveyed, so their drivers, believe misinformation is a significant barrier to people switching to electric. However, people trust friends and family more than anyone else when considering their next vehicle purchase, with more of us choosing EVs. 27% of new cars sold in August were battery electric. August is one of the worst months of the year for registrations because a new registration number comes out in September. Anybody who registers a car in August on the old registration number is stupid or trying to pervert the course of justice, i.e. they're trying to manufacture higher percentage uptake of electric vehicles because nobody in the right mind would register one in August. So that is misinformation. That is a stupid. Anybody with any sense, anybody with any knowledge of the motor trade, anybody with any knowledge of cars would know that that is the time to fudge figures. And if she doesn't know this, she shouldn't be doing her job. This is not tackling EV misinformation, it's making it up. She's manufacturing EV misinformation. And the UK's charging infrastructure rapidly expanding, over 85,000 charge points compared to around 8,000 petrol stations. Right, I get that right, to around 8,000 petrol stations. We have a real opportunity to reset the discussion on EVs and focus on the true benefits these vehicles can bring. 85,000 charge points. Now I happen to know, because I've been looking, everywhere I go, and I went to Luton Airport, then from Luton I went to London, and from London I drove back to Preston. Now, I filled up in Preston and I did that journey and I still had fuel left. However, like they say, oh, do you never go for a wee? Yeah, I did. I went and parked right near the service station. I walked in, went to the loo, come out, got back in my car and shot off. You know, just outside the service station, I didn't see any electric chargers. Okay? They were way away because they don't want electric chargers near the service station because if an EV sets on fire, the last place they want it is near a building full of people. So they put them in the corner. They're not stupid, are they? They tell you one thing and do another. If they're so safe, why in Preston, in the cinema, why did they decide not to have electric chargers in the underground car park? Why have India just banned them? Korea, the same. Do you know the only people who haven't banned? Well, I say we've not banned them. We have under the Houses of Parliament. We don't want them MPs getting burnt to death, do we? But the other places, yeah, you can have it. You can have a charger underneath your massive block of flats. You can have a bus depot for electric buses underneath all your flats. They're stripping flammable material off the outside of flats and they're shoving more underneath it. Our government is thick. These EV people are thick. They're in denial. Why are they in denial? What difference does it make whether you have a charging station outside or underground? Because they don't want you to think that the new car you're going to buy is going to set on fire. So they say it's all right to have charging stations underground in the UK. But I bet they don't. The UK's charging infrastructure rapidly expanding. Over 85,000 charge points compared to around 8,000 petrol stations. We have a real opportunity to reset the discussions on EVs and focus on the true benefits these vehicles can bring. What about EV costs? That's not to say that there aren't still challenges. Upfront costs are still higher than for petrol, and diesel equivalents, salary sacrifice and the government electric car grant lend much support to households looking to buy a new EV. However, the second-hand EV market can be volatile, and we need to look at ways to stabilise and bring second-hand prices down. They couldn't drop any more. So she's saying that they want second-hand prices to come down. The BVRLA want the government to subsidise used EV prices because their members are blowing their brains out. So she's wrong about that too, isn't she? The BVRLA They won't tell you because they're pretending everything in the garden's rosy too. In fact, it's EV week this week, I think. Let's just see. Today we have launched Used EV Week, 20th to the 24th of October. An awareness campaign to boost confidence in the used electric vehicle market. With the used car market 4 times the size of the new one, it's vital that businesses, fleets and policymakers work together to make electric mobility accessible and affordable for all drivers. Rubbish. With a driveway and access to home charging, drivers can save around £1,000 a year on running costs. For those reliant on, well, you can't, because she's trying to get used EV prices down. She's professing to stabilise the used EV market, but bring the prices down at the same time. So you can't do both. If they're coming down, it's not stabilised. You can't save £1,000 a year on running costs because running costs also include depreciation. Overall running costs include depreciation. An EV depreciates far faster and greater than an ICE vehicle. So your £1,000 pales into insignificance. £1,000 on an EV depreciation in 12 months is nothing. Absolute nothing. It's cheaper to run an ICE vehicle. This is rubbish. For those reliant on the public charging network, charging costs are greater. There are solutions, cross-pavement technologies, charge sharing, time of day pricing and workplace charging. That can bring the cost down. We need to promote these options and show that EVs can work for all households. I can't charge at home, my EV works. Expanding EV accessibility. Many drivers with disabilities report that they find EVs easier to drive and refuel. That is absolute crap. Absolute rubbish. To be honest, it's not that easy for an able-bodied person to charge the vehicle. And when these batteries get bigger, what happens when the batteries get... Right, so your cables around your house. Charging lead for an iPhone, that big. Cable for an electric appliance, that big. Cable that runs several electric appliances, and this is only 240 volts. What, you know, for your cooker, is it 2.5mm squared? Cables that allow fast charging. They're yay big, aren't they? And that's just at the moment. When the really, really fast charging comes in, what they're going to be, so big. Some of them are water cooled, I believe, because the cable heats up. Water and electric. You know. However, those relying on public charging struggle. We must work harder to raise awareness of accessibility standards around cable weight. Well, how can you? Space around the car and height of payment terminals. They need to be rolled out so that all drivers can use the charging network. With a concerted effort across the EV sector to tackle these last remaining barriers, we are close to the tipping point where EVs become the preferred, cheaper and better car for UK. I have never read such a load of rubbish in all my life. There isn't one point there that is accurate, and that's from the CEO of EVA England. There we go, from Auto Trader. Electric cars, facts and figures. What about running costs? Here, on the EVAs, you can save £1,000 a year. On here, you can save £1,500 a year. On the climate intelligence unit, you can save up to £2,600 a year. Not one of them know what they're talking about. Not one of them. There is no scientific evidence in any of these. Will my EV battery last for years? Well, it may do, it may not. There's some on BCA. They're still under warranty. Battery's gone. And because it's such a ball ache trying to get it fixed, just in case there's anything wrong with the battery or you've damaged it or it's got water in it, They'd rather take the chances and put it through BCA than take it to a main dealer, unless they've already taken it to a main dealer and they've said, oh, you've missed your service, sir. I'm sorry, your warranty is null and void. You've missed your service. But EVs don't need servicing. Now, that's what we tell people. But when there's a warranty claim, if you've missed your 12 monthly service or your 3,000 mile service on your Maxus, your £15,000 battery is down to you. 9 in 10 EV drivers never look back. Office of Zero Emission Vehicles, Charge UK Auto Trader. Absolute rubbish. Don't believe a word of it. If an EV works for you, buy one. I would suggest that you don't charge it near your house and you don't charge it overnight. Charge it during the day, pay a little bit more for an electric, and then move it away from your house. Once it's on fire, there's no putting it out. And there seem to be, there's more and more things coming to light. The batteries develop dendrites. 19,000 Nissan Leafs are being recalled. They've no fix for it, but all they can do is a software update that sees if the vehicle's overheating and stops it charging, from what I can gather. So don't believe any of this garbage. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.